So Rob,
What's up, man?
what's going on, man? All right, yeah, you know what? I lied. I'm going to do a little intro. So Rob has been one of
Do you have an intro song?
I do, yeah. I mean, I can sing it right now if you want to. It's usually
Let's hear
it's
it.
usually just me doing a cappella.
Oh,
Is how
perfect.
I like to start shit. So
Perfect.
I've been a big follower of Rob's for a while, and he's been one of the strongest, most valuable mentors that I think I've ever had in my career. Of his lack of knowledge of that until he and I actually started working together. So I couldn't be more appreciative of you being here, taking some time, man. Um, Rob, I want to talk a little bit about how creativity is a superpower and how it doesn't just go into the products we produce. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, creativity's got me everywhere in life, right? Like when I was younger and I started thinking about creativity, it was very easy to say like, "Oh, I like to draw, I like to paint, I like to sew clothes." Like that was creativity, right?
Yeah.
And you know, I, one of the really cool things about growing up is I didn't have resources. And looking back now, it's like I had the obvious creativity, which was, drawing on furniture and like decorating my room.
Yeah.
Like you could look at that and say creative. But, growing up in the woods, it's like I had to be creative to build a treehouse. Like I didn't have the proper
Mhm.
supplies, like I didn't have nails or whatever. So it was like building a treehouse, I had to be really creative. And anything in my life, it was so obvious from a young age that like if I want a really nice car, if I've always wanted 911s
Yeah.
my whole life. And if I want a 911, I have to use the same creativity that I do in artwork. So if I'm trying to, make a shadow, right? Like you're trying to make something look three dimensional.
Mhm.
It's a simple combination of like, what does the shadow look like and how is it separated to actually look round or look like it's standing up or whatever.
Mhm.
And as an artist, you have to figure that out. You have to figure out like, how do I take this shadow and use this pencil to make it look like this? And for some reason, in my mid 20s, it clicked and it was like, well, if I'm going to build my life the same way,
Yeah.
right? Like I have to figure out how to make that shadow. I need to figure out how to make something. And then that turned into marketing and storytelling. And then, getting creative to make products work or source products or, make entertaining YouTube videos or everything. And all of a sudden it was like, oh, the entire world responds to my creativity and drive. And all of a sudden things just started clicking.
So, I mean, I think, especially when it goes back to like the storytelling element of things, that's a big thing people struggle with. They don't think their story's relevant or they don't believe they have much of a story to tell. So, when did storytelling become a skill of yours? You know what I mean? To like know how to just authentically put it out there.
So right away, I mean, when I started selling, I started making t-shirts and stuff like that. That was the first thing that we really
Mhm.
sold. And storytelling was everything because I was just making the same stuff everyone else was making. Right. So like for us to put up a tank top, the first thing we sold ever for Flag Nor Fail in I think 2009 was a tank top. And I was like, why does this matter? Like it's just a tank top. Like, but I had all the storytelling learning from promoting my wife, Dana, in like, I have to tell people why she's special,
Mhm.
right? Like if they just see her, they're not going to understand. I really have to make sure that I capture and in these videos, give them the full perspective of her, right? So I would show her dancing. I would show her eating. I would show all of these different things. By the time you saw the end result of her physique, you were like, man, that's so like I have a relationship built with her. So when I started building products, I realized the same thing. I was like, dude, it's just a t-shirt, right?
Mhm.
Like it's a t-shirt. But if I show you like how I do the hand script, if I show you how I build the screen, if I explain to you what this stands for and why it matters, all of a sudden people start to care more. So again, a lot of things in my life came from not having resources, right? So my creativity had to solve the problem of not having resources. If I would have had, a model, or if I would have had somewhere where I could just pay to put it up and advertise, I wouldn't have had to rely on storytelling so much. But because I didn't really have any resources, I was like, well, how are people going to care? It's not the best quality. It's not the best print. I'm not some giant company. Well, let me tell them all the things that make us special. And I was like, oh, this is storytelling. I didn't realize it was storytelling until later.
Yeah.
I thought it was just trying to sell my product, right?
Do you think there's a drastic difference between like when you had gotten started in Flag Northfield, just like started as you guys as a relationship? You know, I know the story. I mean, I'm not going to fanboy the shit, but I mean, what it boils down to, like people nowadays, they believe they don't have enough resources, so they inevitably don't. You know what I mean?
No, dude, the best thing is having no resources, right? Like going back to the 911, I remember when I bought my first 911 and I remember seeing everything change a little bit, right? Because when you're an underdog, when you're creating something and people can really see the passion, it's very easy for someone to look down at someone who's not doing as well as them and like root for them. Like, yeah, dude, you can do it, blah, blah, blah. But like when you start succeeding, it's harder.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people, like, they want to see the products and your screw ups and you trying and your late nights. One of the greatest things that ever happened was I'm not a web developer, but I built our first website. And I remember being so embarrassed of this, right? I couldn't afford a web developer. So I built our website and we would get, because we did limited releases, we would get like 1,500 people coming to the website at once. And we would do our releases at like 8 or 9 o'clock at night. And dude, the site would just crash. I don't know why, but it was like too much traffic and it would just shut off for an hour. And I remember making these selfie videos, right? Because I remember thinking like, what would a big company do? They'd do a press release. They would do something. And dude, I would just make honest, emotional videos when I'm like in the shit of it. Like I'm running around trying to figure out what's going on. Just be like, guys, I am so sorry. I don't know what's going on. And dude, people loved it.
Yeah.
Like, but it was just that honesty. And I think that now in advertising and everything, like if you own a brand or you put anything out, if you pay to get a really good video made, it doesn't do anything online anymore.
Yeah.
Like if you have a really beautiful edited with transitions and sound design and color grading, it validates you as like an authority. Like, oh, that person can make some really good content, but the content that works is this.
Yeah.
Like when you screw up or you stutter or like as you're doing the video, you trip over something and it's blurry. That's what people want to see. And it's obvious now. Back then it was like, I was embarrassed making this video because I was like, man, I want to be a professional company so bad. I want to be everything polished, everything like maximum, like dialed with good lighting, but I can't. Because the website's crashing, it's 9:30 at night and I'm by myself, but I just want to connect with these people and apologize. So I'm just going to use my phone.
Yeah.
And the thing that I learned, and this is one of the things that I learned, a fantastic book, Patrick Bet-David's book, like Choose Your Enemies Wisely or something like that. But he essentially talks about big brands, right? So in that, he was like, well, who's your competitors? Who are you going up against? And I was like, well, I guess I don't have any, I don't know. Like we're such a unique brand. I don't have any competitors. And I was like, but to sort of go through the exercise of the book, I wanted to pick a competitor, right? Like I wanted to choose somebody. And I was like, well, I might as well go huge. And I chose Carhartt, right? And the book takes you on this really nice journey. He asks you questions. So if you don't have a competitor in your mind, you sort of miss out on the value of the book. So I chose Carhartt, which they are millions and millions of times bigger than us. Like they did over $2 billion last year. Like they don't even know who I am or care. And then you start thinking about, okay, well, with my limited resources of being a small apparel line in the context of them, what can I do that they can't? And it's like, oh, we can throw events at our warehouse and do crazy stuff that they could never do. I don't even know where their warehouse is.
Yeah.
Like, then I started thinking about it. I was like, well, the CEO and the designer of Flag Nor Fail can pick up his phone and talk directly to the customers. Who do they have on Carhartt staff that can do that? No one. They need to hire Jason Momoa and shoot a fucking $300,000 video to show you how good they are because they don't have the ability to do the guerrilla shit that you do when you have less resources. So I think when people talk about having less resources in marketing or starting a company, it's like, dude, you have more resources than your largest competitor that you're trying to copy. And you just need, and going back to the creative thing, it's like, that's why creativity is a superpower. It's because if you're creative and you're scrappy and you're willing to find the angles and the little channels to figure it out, that's what's going to make you unique
Yeah.
that the big companies can't do.
Well, and man, like, because this goes back to the relatability from the brand and the buyer psychology and the product, you know? So, like, where you allocate your value. The product is only worth so much unless it has a brand that's relatable to the person you want to work with. And I think you even saying like the guerrilla aspect, the guerrilla marketing, like actually being that person that's the face of it makes or breaks your ability of success. So how have you been able to maintain that as like the Rob Bailey everybody knows now, but going all the way back to the very beginning and never losing that edge, never losing that insanity and that desire to be it?
Yeah. So I think that, again, right, we're talking about a superpower being
Yeah.
creativity. It can also destroy you, right? Like, look at fire, for example. If you tame fire, you can heat your house, you can cook your food, you can do all these things. But if you release fire onto a mountain, it will destroy
Yeah.
everything. It will burn you, it will kill you, it will suck out all your oxygen, and you will die,
Yeah.
right? And I think creativity is the same thing, because you have to have a level of passion, you have to have emotion attached to it. And sort of what I learned this from sports, right? Because I would, make my tuxedo for prom, and then I would go right to football practice. So I always had this really unique duality of like, fuck the authority. But then when I stepped into football practice, I was like, dude, my coach is in charge. If my coach tells me to run full speed into that wall, I will run full speed into that wall. So I learned like a healthy respect for authority, and then also being a lunatic creative. And the balance of those two, looking back now, is sort of what's made me so powerful or successful or whatever, because I can stay up all night. I think artists get locked in these like flow states,
Yeah.
right? I'll get locked in a flow state where I'm here until 2 a.m. designing, and I feel so fucking good. But the fact of the matter is, like, I still have a staff meeting at 8 a.m. that I have to be at, and I have to be a CEO, and I have to be a leader there. And I think that responsibility that I carry I have to hold my standard of a professional, of the responsible person also, where I take, my body, right? Like I show up, I train every day, I eat responsibly. I have a healthy relationship with drinking where it doesn't, when I do get crazy, I get crazy, but I've also learned tactics underneath to sort of keep myself under control and, personal development, all those things. And I think that's what makes a true artist really good. We talked a little bit a while ago about, I grew up in the same town as like Bam Margera, right? Now, I don't think he had any business sense whatsoever, but he was a lunatic artist that I looked up to, right? And I think that in the art world, we look at these lunatic artists as our heroes. And it's like, one day I want to be that, right?
Yeah.
But what we forget is like, yeah, it's like winning the lottery, dude. For every one Bam, there was a fucking 1,000 kids within a 10-mile radius that were doing the exact same thing. They just didn't get lucky. And I'm not the best artist in the world, right? So I have to balance that out with holding myself really accountable, setting goals, knowing what my priorities are, maintaining relationships, all this stuff that doesn't come easy to me. I work way harder on that than I do my creative skill set. My creative skill set's like, it feels like magic to me.
Yeah.
Like if I sit down and just look at something long enough, like all of a sudden I can see how I can create it. But, making sure that I tell my wife she looks fantastic, or thanking her when she makes me dinner, or calling my parents, or sitting down for P&L meetings, for like all that shit is like really hard for me. I just can't do it. So I consciously have to maintain the responsible adult side, and then also make sure that I give myself space to do the creativity. But the balance of both is what's going to make you successful. Now, you also might just get lucky not that Bam got lucky, no shots fired at Bam, but we're using him as an
Yeah.
example. Like there was a little luck there. Like he popped up at the right time and stepped in front of the
Mhm.
right people. And I'm aware that that's not just going to happen. I can't just be maniac Rob Bailey and painting and doing all these things and not showing up for things that I have to do. Like, no, I have to be this really, really good adult that learns and is constantly in meetings and doing all this shit. And the reward is I get to be the maniac and a successful maniac. But it has to be both.
Yeah. Well, and I think you had said it really well when it came to like creating magic. I think a lot of people want to live that magic life. They pay so close attention, especially now with social media. They see the magic other
Yeah.
people create and they're like, I want that. And then they hurry up and wait until that next opportunity comes their way. So they wind up just spectating magic their entire lives under the umbrella of being a creative instead of creatively learning how to make magic happen in their own lives.
Yeah.
It,
And I think the big part of that is being scared.
Yeah.
Right. And I think if you're a really good artist, like you're almost scared of your work because you know it's never going to be good enough, right? And like hiring videographers or photographers or anything like that, like I can always tell if someone's a true artist because if someone shows up and they're like, I have the dopest photos ever, or I have the best video ever, and I can't improve at all, it's like, oh no, you're not a real artist because you should be able to look at everything you've ever created and been like, damn, I can be better than that, right? And I think along with that comes a fear that it's like, well, I don't want to take on that project because it's actually going to test my skill set. And what if I fail? And I think the other big secret is having the confidence in being a creative that you can do the project. And then also having the confidence in being a creative that when it all falls apart, I can also figure it out. Right. And there needs to be creativity in failure. There needs to be knowing that like, maybe you're not going to make the best painting in the world, right? Maybe it's going to suck and no one's going to care about it. But on the other side of that, I'm going to use the same creativity to figure out how to save it and move on to the next project. And I think that's a lot of what the creatives miss because they just get stuck at the being scared, you know, of no one's going to like this. I'm going to make this video or make this painting or make this piece of apparel or do whatever. And everyone's going to hate it. And it's like, yeah, probably. So after that, let's have that confidence that you still have that creativity that you made that painting with to solve that problem. And that's why I think I have such like a lust for life and like excitement about me is because I know that my superpower of creativity can get me out of anything. It really can.
I mean, I think the crazy thing is, and I have this conversation with stupid amounts of artists all the time, like, I think to truly have like a lust for life and a love for life, you have to be insane now, you know, because most people get like, they're not afraid of what can happen in the future. They're afraid of just how to get through right the fuck now, you know, and you have to be out of your mind to just love life, win, lose or draw, and to just like sense the storm and just pound through it while every other animal is like seeking shelter, waiting for it to pass.
Yeah, you really do. And a lot of that, again, the duality of things, right? Majority of my confidence is built on the backside, right? Like we let's keep the creativity and the magic on the front side, but like it's my consistent habits. It's showing up. It's knowing that like, you know, every single Sunday, my wife and I have that conversation and like, that's what holds our relationship together. Knowing that as long as I show up and I give everyone really good direction and I keep my intensity as a CEO, like the business is going to keep working. And as long as I keep, you know, learning, it's like all these hard skills over here that I've done now for 16 years. That's what supports me making the crazy decisions in the creativity world. I mean, right before this, we were having a discussion about this coffee shop, right? And we're looking to build a coffee shop. We pushed pause on it for a second. We just got the quote back that essentially without paving and blah, 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 it's going to cost us about $2 million. Right. So I look at that and I'm like, damn, dude, do I really need to take on another $2 million project that like we don't really have the 2 million right now to pay. So it would be we'd have to finance it. And then it's a payment looking towards my future. And we just broke down the numbers and it was like, okay, cool. We're going to be at around $20,000 a month, that we'll need to finance. Yeah. Right. So me looking at my future saying, okay, $20,000 a month to pay this thing off that I build. Do I have faith that the future Rob Bailey, 6 months from now, a year from now, is still going to have it to make that $20,000 a month? So I look back at, my pedigree of like, yeah, I show up every fucking day and I figure it out. And I've done it for 16 to 20 years now. I've done it in my marriage. I've done it in fitness. I've done it with my family. I've done it with friendships and relationship problems that I've worked through, right? So all that good work there is giving me confidence that like, yeah, a year from now, dude, I'll fucking figure it out. So now I can take that massive, massive risk over here to build a $2 million coffee shop out front, because for the last 20 years, like, yeah, I know I fucking show up. Like, so if I've showed up for 20 years, of course I'm going to show up next year.
Yeah.
And I think that all of a sudden stress starts lowering, right? And that confidence in yourself by the work that you do through personal development, by constantly showing up, helps you make those really scary creative decisions.
Yeah. Well, that's one thing that I think a lot of people struggle with is looking at their life experiences they've had as part of the superpower of the creative. A lot of people like they hide from what was to try to pretend that what is sustainable, instead of, I mean, like you had just said, being able to look at all the things you've already experienced, all the times you've already shown up, or why you didn't show up and how to change that as a natural state is what really enhances that. I mean, I think a lot of creatives, they stress and struggle or just completely avoid learning more skills because they want their talent of creativity to carry them into the dream they have. So what do you think are a lot of the skills that most creatives lack in? Actually, you are always on a hiring journey, I've noticed. You're always looking for more people who can fit the bill. How often do you realize that these people came in with talent but didn't have enough work ethic or enough curiosity to be able to want to grow along with the momentum?
Yeah, I think it's also ego, right? Yeah. Like, I had a conversation this weekend about, how fast I burn creatives out. Mm-hmm. Like, cause dude, you come in here as a creative and like majority of creatives last in here a year, mm-hmm. like 1 year and they're fucking gone. And the reason that I burn them out is like, it's cause the skill sets that I understand. So for example, let's talk about photos, right? Yeah. Let's talk about photos. So there's something in a website called a PDP page or a product detail page, right? And we know what photos need to be on the product detail page, and we know what photos we have to get because of what we're trying to show. And all of a sudden that mindset, like all of a sudden my marketing brain's turning on, right? Versus photos that are being launched in ad creatives that are getting paid media put behind them. They're two different photos, right? They're two different videos. They're different all around. And the problem is a lot of creatives come in here and they're like, well, yeah, I just want to take a really good photo. This is my style, right? But without them understanding where is your style actually being deployed and what's the customer relationship with that? Where does it fall on the customer journey? A lot of times they're not shooting the right photos. Yeah. Like, yeah, it's a dramatic sunset shot with me wearing a book bag. And it's like, yeah, that's a whole fucking vibe. But if you can't see the details of the bag, it doesn't go on the product detail page because people show up there for the information. They want to see the material. They want to see the zippers, how it works, what the volume is. And a lot of times what I do is when I bring in people, they want to shoot these very specific videos. And I'm like, yes, we need to expand your skill, right? We need to do a storytelling video where we cover everything being made. And if we're doing a storytelling video, then we're not doing quick edits. We're not doing massive sound design. It's more about the message, right? And then if we're filming over here, well, this needs to look more UGC and the creatives that have stayed and have moved on, dude, they are so capable now because they understand it all encompassing. So if you hire them as a photographer, they can see your brand. They know what your brand stands for. Their style doesn't matter. It's how their style relates to your brand. And then where is this actually being deployed on the customer journey? And dude, a lot of creatives don't want to do that. They're like, nah, dude, my style videos are the sickest,
Yeah.
or like my style photos are the sickest. And it's like, you have no fucking value, because what you're going to do is you're going to either freelance or get these clients, and you're going to show up and maybe give them something magical once, but it doesn't work with their brand, and it won't work in where you're releasing it. So I really run the creatives hard. And a lot of the people that have worked for me, whether, it took me a while to sort of feel good about this,
Yeah.
right? Because at first I was just burning relationships, like gym managers, like everyone working for me, dude, they'd be here a year and they'd leave. And they're just like, dude, the pace is too fast and you're always making me learn new skills. And so for a little while, I backed off that, right? I backed off and I was like, man, these people are just showing up here because they want to work. And I think when I backed off that is when I sort of I lost my love for the game as much, right? Like, it was like, man, why am I even doing this? Like, we need to hire another person to do this and the team. And now we're just having meetings to hold people accountable. And I'm back to a place now where it's like, there's enough people out there. Like, if they don't align with me, they don't align with me. I do not care. Right. And if you're not coming here to where you want to learn more and you want to push and you want to learn marketing as a creative and you want to learn, even how the SKUs line up in the back, or how we need to move older inventory, or why, this photo is not going to resonate with the customer as much. Like, the people that come in and want to learn that, when they leave here, like, they're monsters.
Yeah.
Like, my last gym manager, dude, he owns a chain of gyms right now and he is crushing. And like, for a long time, I felt really bad about the year that I put him through hell. But I look at him now and I'm like, I put that dude through fucking heavy college for a year.
Yeah.
A lot of people that have left here, right, that they've sort of cut their teeth under us, have gone out to start giant companies and do really, really rad things. And for a long time, I was like, man, if we could have just kept him, like, it sucks, like, that talent. But I'm also looking at myself as like, I think I'm adding to the world, right? Like,
Yeah.
I have enough materialistic shit. I have a great life. Like, how am I adding to the world? I think that, like, I need to be that inspiration, that dude that pushes people past their limits of what they think they're capable of, showing them by example, but also just fucking running them and to making them great. Because I think that's what a lot of people don't have in their life. There is no accountability. There's no one that makes you show up to the gym every day. There's no one that makes you continuously, like, study your craft or try new things, because it's scary. So it's very easy to sit back and just, this is who I am. This is where I got to.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you just painted the picture of what creativity as a superpower looks like. It has to be the love for life, the love for craft, and the eagerness to learn new skills to fast track the value of that talent. But on the opposite end, it becomes a kryptonite when you're unwilling to learn new skills to make your talent valuable. I mean, in the world, like, all right, in the world that I live in with tattooing, everyone comes into tattooing because in high school they were the kid who was the outlier. They were the creative. They might have been the degenerate, like weird one, but he could draw a fucking picture. But then when you enter an industry full of talent, you're rendered average, and that's when it becomes your kryptonite. And the one thing that I'm noticing more and more after building additional businesses, you and I, like, getting to have these opportunities, is you can forecast what's going on in the tattoo industry in a parallel to a magnitude of other industries to be able to predict what's about to occur. We're still very fertile in the growth stages where everything you just said, foreign fucking language to 90% of the people who are on my page and on my platform and in my communities. But it's all information they're going to need to know, because in the next 5 years, it's going to be the new industry standard. There is going to be a separation of low, middle, high when it comes to success. And this is the stuff you're going to need to know. As corporate comes into tattooing, that doesn't mean it's a problem for those who want success. It's only creating a bigger problem for those who want to stay on the ground level and just kind of do what they've always done.
Yeah, I think tattooing moving forward, because it's accepted now, right? Like, it's not this thing where you see someone with like, you almost see someone with tattoos and you're like, I wonder what they do. It's probably cool, right? And I mean, to use myself for example, with tattoos, it's like, I am a brand. 100% a brand. I'm not just going to get some tattoo because I like it. I think everyone now is starting to realize that personal brands really, really matter, right? It doesn't matter if you're part of a company doing something, you're still a brand within. Showing up yourself is a brand showing up within that company, right? I always use the example of like, if I always say, how are you? And you say, I'm tired. And that's what you always say. It's like your brand's tagline is, I'm tired. Like, right?
Yep.
Like we all know those people that walk into a room and like they light the room up. It's like, well, their brand lightens up the room. So I think people need to pay a lot of attention to personal brands. And now with social media and everyone sort of having their own page and trying to accomplish something, everyone understands what a brand is. And everyone understands like, well, if I'm a wealthy brand, I wear wealthy clothes. If I'm a fitness brand, I wear fitness clothes. And I think the tattoo industry is going to keep growing. But what they need to realize is what tattoos fit your brand, and you can look towards longevity, right? So, we've had conversations about you tattooing me. I haven't got tattoos in a very long time, but if you tattoo me, the conversation is going to be much different than like, oh, I want a giant eagle on my chest, right? It's like, no, the Rob Bailey brand is athletic, so it needs to complement my physique, right? I stand for freedom. So the tattoo has to be something about freedom and cutting your own path and all these different things. I own a brand called Flag Nor Fail that's going to be around for a very long time. That needs to build into it. And all of a sudden, it's not just like, oh, I want to look cool and get a chest piece. It's like, you need to know what I stand for as a brand. And you as an artist, maybe you don't like doing eagles, right? Maybe you're like, oh, I want to do fucking Zeus with a thing. It's like, well, does Zeus stand for freedom? Like, you need to understand my brand, just like a marketer, just like an art director or anything. Understand the brand of Rob Bailey and then understand how to help me get to that right tattoo that's going to enhance my personal image. When back in the day, it was like, yeah, I'm just getting tattoos to look cool. And maybe I'll put a word on me that looks cool. But now it's more really trying to build up me as a person, work with my brand so I can continue to move forward. A lot like I would buy the right hat or shoes or shirt. It all adds to it.
Well, and this goes back to the luxury tattoo experience we were just talking about. People, they buy watches, they buy cars, they do like these lavish experiences because it complements their brand and it helps them really stack the deck on who it is they intend on becoming or what it is they've been able to build so far. Tattooing is always called, well, it's a luxury product, So why are you not trying to target more luxury consumers who value the work that goes into the back end of that? I understand your brand no different than I understand the clients that I work with here in the Midwest or for the clients who fly into me. And I'm going to do my due diligence to make sure that I'm complementing and enhancing the individual you are. Tattoos are enhancing, but we're stuck in this culture of, I just want to get tatted, bro. Like, I don't want to do that because that's not encouraging or giving me the opportunity to expand my capabilities just to give you some subpar tattoo that you're obligated to wear forever. When Flag Nor Fail makes a shirt, I personally, I'll order all of the ones that I like and I'll order it a second time when that one goes to rags because I've outworn the shit. A tattoo, you really can't do that. And nobody takes value in forever. You want to talk about a luxury product, it should last a lifetime. So I, as the producer of that product, need to understand where the fuck you are and where you're going to know it's going to align with that permanency.
Yeah. And I think you understand that. And that's fantastic. And I think that's the difference in walking to your local shop and just being like, yeah, dude, I want something on my, I don't know how often you get this, but like, how much would it cost for a full sleeve? And it's like, not saying that's like a low vibration person, but like there's so much more of an understanding, right? And even when I think about getting a tattoo, it's like, I think about all the different locations I'm in. So like when I'm dressed up in a suit, do I want tattoos on my hands? Right? No, because I know how my brand carries myself in all these situations. And, trying to look ahead at those things, I think you have to. And I think most artists probably don't look ahead or understand how that goes with the person's
Yep.
brand, you know? So I think it's awesome that you're doing that, but that's a conversation I think that needs to be had a little bit more, because there's a huge there's a huge gap between just getting blasted and actually having a piece that means something, stands for something. When you look at it every day, it inspires you
Yep.
or reminds you of something. And that's how I see tattoos, right? Like when I talk about hand tattoos, I have work hard on my hands, right? I got that in Andy Frisella's office during the first Summer Smash. And I remember, and I was like, this makes so much sense to me, because every time I look at my hands, it says work hard. And then the harder I work, like the more it wears
Yeah.
away. And all the time people are like, I want to touch that up. And it's like, no, the point is to make it go away. And I think that being an artist, you should see the relationship with everything,
Yeah.
right? Like the furniture, the lighting in your house, all of that, it creates an environment. And if you're creating an environment on your body, you should be a lot more intentional with it,
Yeah.
right? It shouldn't be, oh, I got the couches that I found at the dump. It's like, well, why do you pride yourself on finding couches at the dump? Is because you're upcycling and you're rugged and you're not materialistic. Like there should be more to it. And I think if you can start finding the purpose in everything, then yeah, I personally don't know my purpose with tattoos right now,
Yeah.
but same thing. If I came to you and we had this really good conversation, I think we could do that. On the backside of that, like I want an experience attached to that. My life is beautiful. Everything that I do, I try to make as epic as possible. I don't want to go through the motions with things, right? Like I don't want to go on a date with my wife and go through the emotions with it or go through the motions with it. I don't want to have a training session that could be better. I don't want to just make a product just to get a product out there. I want everything to be an experience. And that's what we were talking about tattooing. It's like, if I was to get tattooed, man, I wouldn't do it on a weekend somewhere where I'd want to go with my friends. Mm-hmm. And I think that's where this thing that we're sort of talking about, I mean, that seems very appetizing to me, because it's like forever I can look at this and have memories attached to it and meaning, and all of a sudden it becomes really beautiful. And with us having the ability to make anything we want out of life, right? We both know that whatever we want to make life, we can make it. It's like, well, then experiences and everything. Let's do that with everything, and the possibility gets so exciting.
Yeah, the one thing that I've learned the hard way and also the beautiful way is all things in life are shapes and patterns. I learned that as an artist. I couldn't draw a realistic portrait or a full sleeve if I didn't understand and be able to break down every image into its most like simple shape first. Yep. So when I look at a new business that I want to build or a new skill that I want to learn, I can't just say, I'm going to learn this thing and then do it. I have to break it down into like metaphorical shapes, patterns, and understand the building blocks to be able to get to that refined outcome. You know, and I think that was one of the first conversations you and I had was you're like, oh, so you're like a dude that knows marketing. It's like, I'm not always. No, I just understood the shapes and patterns. I picked up things from everywhere, and I had to make my own understanding of it. And that's where, as you had said, like where insanity becomes almost graceful in life. And I think that's what all creatives really want. They don't just want the creativity as a superpower. They want to be able to live, embody, embrace, and build from madness. And the best way to do that is, you know, looking at your life as art, looking at every business, every opportunity as art.
Yeah, and that's what validates you, man. Like there's nothing worse than being an artist that like no one cares about your shit.
Yeah.
Right? And I think that, you know, it's once you start learning how to create and put your art out there, even in your life, like, and you start seeing results, like if you're a fantastic painter and you can paint everything dialed, it might not ever do anything for you.
Yeah.
But if you can, same thing, break down those shadows and those shapes and things like that, and take that same framework and put it over into life, and all of a sudden you see things start clicking, right? Like, you know, I'll use a weird analogy right now, but like the balance of shadows, like if you relate that to the balance of people in your life, where it's like, ooh, I need one really dark person a little bit every once in a while. And then I need like this. And then my highlights are what really bring this painting out. I need more people in my life that highlight. And if you take the same framework over here and put it over here, all of a sudden you can build friend groups, you can build environments and spaces. And all of a sudden it's like, oh shit. And that's where the validation is going to come, right?
Yeah.
Because if you're painting beautiful portraits that are too beautiful and have no style to them, it's like you understand the framework. That might not work for you, but if you can relate it to life, dude, that validation is huge. Now it's not everything. You still got to care about the craft, and that's where the balance of everything comes in. But yeah, I mean, you nailed it, dude. If you can break down how to paint this bottle sitting on a windowsill, if you understand that, you can take those same exact skills and go to life. And if you step back and start looking at it, you can arrange it and realize like, oh, maybe I'm not good at, the initial shape or outline of it. How is that like my finances?
Yeah.
Like, what do I need to do? And it's like, well, maybe we need to trace a little bit first, right? Until you get your hand used to making that shape. All right. Well, what is tracing in finances? Well, let's go download a simple template offline, and I'm going to match that to how to manage my finances every month. And then you do that for a few months and then realize how you can vary and make it your own. And dude, it's the same thing back and forth. It's just figuring out how to relate it.
Yeah. I mean, that was almost beautifully put, because I think a lot of people who are creatives have put all their eggs into the I'm a creative basket, and they start to want their tenure of all the time invested into just doing this one thing. So all of their value is attached to their product. So if no one's buying your product, if no one's giving it attention, you then minimize your own self-worth because you're not doing self-worth work on the back end.
Yeah.
So everything's attached to the validation instead of having that level of confidence. That's one thing you talk about often in CCB. It's one thing that I try to push with creatives because they're the hardest fucking people in the world to want to do more for themselves, because almost like the self-deprecation is almost like a suit, like a strong suit to the creative.
Yeah.
But that's always what's going to keep them stuck and stagnant.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. I've taken that negative self-deprecation and I've put that on those other skills I talked about earlier. Right? So like whenever I feel that, I make sure that it has a channel to go into. Yeah. So if I'm like hating myself creative wise, it's like I channel that into training, or I look at that and it's like, well, I need to clean my diet up, and that's the problem. Yeah. And I think that artists have emotion, and one of the big breakthroughs I had was I've always felt emotion. It's always made me kind of manic, right? Like if I'm in love or I'm sad or I'm angry, like I get really manic. And one of the things I learned in like my early 20s was like, I have this ball of emotion and I'm just letting it run wild. But if I can take this ball of emotion and aim it at something, like I can accomplish anything. Yeah. So when I have a really bad day and I get home and I'm like fucking pissed, it's like, okay, I can take this ball of anger and put it towards alcohol and being lazy. And I'm going to do really good at that. Yeah. And I'm probably going to fight with my wife, right? Or I can take this same energy and this manic anger and I can clean the garage. And I'll tell you what, I will clean the shit out of the garage. So another thing that, once again, if artists are listening to this, like if you can take that emotion and aim it towards something, and it doesn't matter if it's happiness, sadness, whatever the fuck it is, emotion's the most powerful thing that an artist can have, like hands down all day. And I think a lot of times the emotions tied to creation, point it towards something else and just accomplish something. And everything starts to like level out and you start to learn how to play the game better.
Yeah. Well, that definitely attaches to when I was telling you the story earlier, like I've like in my past with my alcoholism, my drug addiction, I died, and it wasn't the death that scared me. It was the reality that I had realized I had never actually lived because I was doing what I wanted, when I wanted, how I wanted, with no mission, no target, no outcome in sight. It was just this Groundhog's Day. I realized I wasn't afraid of death. I was just afraid to have not actually lived, So I continued on the path of what I knew best, what I want, when I want, how I want, finding the patterns and the shapes and kind of going through that constant flow state with a mission or a vivid vision. And all of a sudden, the amount of growth I could create, the amount of success that I could build, the amount of possibilities and opportunities that came from it were almost inhuman, because when you attach your creativity to a dream, the possibilities are endless. Most people, and here's what I love about having been able to work with you for so long, is I realized most people don't have creativity, so they're obligated to learn skills. Where most creatives have creativity, so they almost neglect the need for skills. When you partner those two things, you become a fucking psychopath.
Yeah. Yeah, because the world seems so much bigger all of a sudden, right? Like the opportunities are everywhere. And that breeds the excitement for life. When you feel like you don't have opportunity, like life doesn't look exciting. Like you look out the window and you're like, stuff. I look out the window, I'm like, ooh, I could build something there. I could create something. I could, it's so exciting. And that's what makes life so rad. But yeah, if you don't have both of them, man, it gets pretty dark. Like if you just have skills, but you don't know how to really get creative with them. If you just have creativity, but you don't actually have the hard skills on the backside to make something about it. I think we all know that kid in high school that was like really handsome and built really well, and then just never did anything with it. Right. Like, I knew a lot of kids like that. I was like, man, if you could just figure out the recipe, like your physique and your personality could take you somewhere major. But it's almost like, well, they already have that.
Yeah.
They already have the creativity. They already have the skills, and they don't want to step to the other side to figure it out. And then by the time they're 30 or 40, they're just an average dude.
Yeah.
And that's what's always broken my heart the most is like, I'm not the smartest guy. I'm not the most creative guy. But I have a little understanding of the possibility in front of me if I have a really good dream. And when I meet somebody that like I look at, I'm like, fuck, man, they're better than me. And they don't see the opportunity, they don't see the dream. That's what bums me out.
Yeah.
And that's why like I blow up so many relationships, because most of the time when I blow up a relationship, it's because I have more faith in them than they have in themselves.
Yep.
And like I am fighting to try to get them to see, and going from all different angles and putting so much energy in them. And they're just like, man, Rob is just hard on me. He's being a dick. He's never telling me I do good. It's like, it's because I'm like, you're fucking awesome.
Yeah.
And I want you to see that. And I want you to think bigger. And it's fucking scary. And if you don't have it, dude, it's hard. Life gets really hard.
It's a shame, because I've said that to so many people. Like, if you don't believe in you, just know that I do. And that should be enough for right now, but you still have to be willing to do the stuff, because
you have to find the right people for that.
Yeah.
Like Dana won Miss Olympia, right? Like she is a fucking badass. Never once did she believe in herself.
Yeah.
And I think that's, you've been to marriage masterminds and stuff like that. That's something that we talk about is like, everyone's always like, oh, my husband's my rock. My husband's all this stuff. And I think that's fantastic. Like your husband's going to pay the bills. He's going to take care of the stuff. He's going to be there for you emotionally. But one of the things I came out the gate with, which like I saw the potential in her, and then I shot for the fucking moon. And like the whole time, anything I did for her, she did not have confidence that she could do that. Like she was like, I shouldn't be doing this, blah, blah, blah. And yes, was I her rock? But I was also like, the hype man that was like, dude, you're 100 times bigger than you are right now. Like, we're going to show the fucking world, like, just trust me. And I think she does the same thing for me. Right. And I think in a relationship, like you almost need a delusional cheerleader, because I can be delusional and have these crazy big dreams all I want. But in those moments of weakness, if I see doubt in her eyes, I can't maintain this. Like, I can't believe in myself every single day, all day. Now I can believe in her every single day, all day. If she can do the same thing back for me, that's what makes a relationship so beautiful.
Yeah.
Because it's like when I'm a little bit weak, she's strong. When she's a little bit weak, I'm strong. And all of a sudden you just build together and you get to the fucking moon, dude.
Yeah. Katie and I had this conversation the other day about how all relationships need to start transactional, not eventually end up that way. Because
interesting.
All things in business or friendship circles or even committed relationships, everybody has this expectation of transaction. You know what I mean? Like, and again, going back to what Keaton had always said with the I'll work on me for you if you work on you for me. Now, if I'm doing all of that and you're doing fuck all, eventually there's going to be a dynamic shift in place. So what Katie and I did was we came to the table with not necessarily a transactional agreement, but we both knew where our strengths and our weaknesses were. We both knew how one would complement the other to be able to fill the things that the other person wasn't able to do. And we could have that volley back and forth. Now, I've also been in relationships where the transaction eventually comes out on the back end where it's like, well, you didn't do this. And it's like, I didn't fucking know that was my responsibility. And it goes that way in your relationship. You almost have to have that same transactional agreement with your skills that you have to learn. But you have to.
I said.
No, go ahead.
Good. So you made me think of this thing. I heard a really beautiful story the other day called like the love ladder, right? And like, I want to climb again to the moon with my wife. Like I want to, like everything in this world, like let's do this together. And the way that it was explained through the little reel that I saw online in 15 seconds, but my brain filled in the rest of it, was a relationship is essentially a ladder. It's a ladder of love, right? And she'll be on the one side, I'm on the other side. Now, when we first start dating, I'm like, hey, will you come meet me for dinner? And she has to take a little bit of a risk and like meet this stranger for dinner. So she climbs up a rung of the ladder. And then I have to climb up a rung of the ladder by either paying and showing up responsible. And then you start climbing this ladder together. It's like, hey, let's move in together. Hey, I don't like when you do this. Can you get better at this? Like, and I'm asking things of her. She's asking things of me. And you're willing to climb up that next rung, right? And get better, get better, get better. And everyone's improving all the time. And I think one of the things that happens in a relationship is you get to a point in time when someone's not willing to reach for that next rung of the ladder. They're like, you're like, hey, I really need you to, maybe stop being mean to me in front of your friends. Like you have a tendency to talk down to me, right? That's like a common thing. And then I could be like, no, I don't, like blah, blah, blah. And instead of reaching up to grab the next rung, I just stay there. Now she looks at me and she's like, well, he didn't reach up to the next ladder. So like, well, I don't want you staying at work as late. And then I'm like, well, I'm going to stay at work as late as I want. And then all of a sudden she climbs down the ladder a little bit. And instead of climbing up, all of a sudden you're either stagnant or one person's traversing down. And that's how relationships fall apart, right? Like everything's a give and take. And saying transactional makes it sound bad. Right. And I think that Dana taught me this. We had a friend that started hanging out with us and someone was like, oh, he's transactional. And I was like, ooh, oh no, I should keep an eye on that guy. Like he's trying to get something out of me. And Dana turned to me. She's like, all relationships are transactional. And I was like, no, friendships aren't transactional. She's like, yes, they are. Every single relationship in the world is transactional. And I was like, what do you mean? And dude, Dana's not a philosopher, but this is like the one thing she hit me with. And she's like, first of all, this dude is showing up. He's a blast to be around. Like he'll show up and help us out with this stuff. Like he watched our house once. Like he's doing things for us for whatever he's going to get from us. Right? Whether that's just enjoyment or clout or whatever it is. And I started thinking about it. I was like, oh, everything's transactional. So even when I hang out, like Keaton's my best friend, right? Even when I hang out with him, there's no like tit for tat, you pay for this. But I also know that like if he shows up as him and I show up in the same room, I'm going to leave that room feeling so much better. So like I've traded energy with him. I've traded laughs with him. We've traded a little bit of knowledge back in here. But when you hear transactional, you think of money, right? And it's not that. Maybe it's you feel better about yourself when you hang out with that person. Maybe it's that person gives you a little knowledge and you make that person laugh. But you have to show up with value that you're willing to transaction a relationship. And that's why when people are like, how do I get to these bigger circles? How do I get there? A lot of times it's like, sometimes you need to start by paying to be in the room with them. I've gone on a lot of expensive trips where I haven't even talked to anybody. And I've paid to be in that room, like Olympia to start for Dana. We would pay to be there. We'd pay to be there. We'd spend our time and our energy to get there just to watch how things operate. Right? So the transaction was I pay money. I watch how all this works. I learn from it. We can go back and get better the next year, pay to get there the next year. And our payment is getting to observe and learn and eventually get noticed. But like, I guess that was a transaction. Yeah. We're not just showing up to an event. We're paying to go to an event. And that's why when people talk shit on masterminds, of course, some masterminds are garbage, right? And it's just an upsell. But there's a lot of opportunity right now to buy your way into rooms and be around people that are a lot more powerful, right? That's why I like these small masterminds, because you can listen to me on stage. You can listen to anyone on stage, right? But the stage is a performance. And I think that some of the cool things you can get to now is if you can get in a room with people you want to be like, even if you're just realize the transaction is you observing, right? And I think a lot of people get into the room and they're like, all right, now's my chance to pitch. It's like, motherfucker, you've brought no value to this room and now you're going to pitch. The value is watch everyone. Watch how two powerful people laugh and what they talk about, and listen to how they talk about their wives, or how they talk about their friends, or how they talk about other people, right? And you can learn those traits. And then next time you come to the room, you can start taking place in more of those traits. And then eventually you can pitch. But if you pitch right out the gate, like, nah, man, no one wants to work out because you've brought no value. So I'm a firm believer in all relationships are a transaction, but when people hear transaction, they think money, power, whatever. No. It's under that. You have to bring real things to people.
Yeah, I've always looked at things like that when it's money, energy, success, even time. Those are all byproducts of being able to understand the transaction. You get more time, you get more money, you get better opportunities as a byproduct of what you're willing to do on the front end. I mean, fuck, that's how I met you. I was willing to invest. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I see a lot of people show up to rooms wanting to get into a room with you, whether that's virtually or in person, but then do nothing with it, just to say, okay, I'm here, now what? You know?
And I think that, like, the same thing, like, maybe someone doesn't have the money to pay to get in a room. Well, guess what? Social media is rooms. Like, if you make a really good comment on every single one of my posts, eventually I'm going to notice you. But again, how did you pay? You paid with your time to pay attention, to comment. If I ever post like, hey, I need someone to ship a car from here to here, if you have that contact, you've built the time to make that contact. You can shift that contact to me. And all of a sudden I'm like, oh shit. Yeah. You know, there's a guy, Joe Burke, who I'm really good friends with now. I just got invited to his wedding, and it's like, he didn't pay to get in a room with me. Right. And I would have never known who he was. But when I said, hey, I'm buying a skid steer, he was like, hey, I got a skid steer. I'll cut you a deal on it. I'll ship it out cheap. And I was like, nah, like I'm good. I want to buy one locally. And then a year later, I said, hey, I need a car shipped from New York to Montana. And he was like, oh yeah, dude, I'll bring it out for free. And I was like, what? Like, okay. Now he paid with, I guess, 2.5 days of his life and driving, right? But it got him into a room where he added massive value to my life, where I was like, well, now I want to add value to you.
Yeah.
You know, and you don't always have to pay to get in a room, but it's like, how can you show up?
Yeah.
And I think to like the events that I host, right, where it's like, there's one waitress that always works with the catering company. And dude, she goes above and beyond all the time. And it's like, I know her position. I know what she should be doing, but she's always going above and beyond. And like now, if I see her in public, if I see anything, like, I don't know, if she asks me for something, she's added enough value to my life above and beyond. Where like, if she texted me right now and said, hey, can I have a half an hour call? I'm thinking about starting my own bartending business. I'd be like, yeah, dude, let's do it.
Yeah.
You've added enough value over the course of time to my life where I'm willing to transact my time and put it back.
Yeah. Well, and I think a lot of that has to do with like your ability, anyone's ability to be able to understand and have social awareness. You know what I mean? Because a lot of people like, they don't have social awareness because they're stuck inside their own little fear bubble. But like when you have that, you can read people, you can understand how this intermingling is occurring, or just understanding. I mean, I think you've said this before, that when you show up to a room, you need to either bring value or to read the room on where the value is and just stay quiet and learn to increase your value into that next opportunity.
Yeah. 100%. I was at this Buffalo Roundup for a week last week,
Envious,
right?
by the way. Yeah.
And oh, dude, so sick, so sick. So I was there and we were eating, right? And there was a bunch of people in the room that, I mean, it was a table with like 20 people at it, right? And there's really high end, there was movie star, everybody's there, right? And we're having all these big conversations, and you could tell there was people in the room that couldn't necessarily keep up with the conversation. So they would just like sit and listen. And how they added value to the room is like, I got tapped all the time. They're like, hey, do you need a water? I'm like, yeah. Like, so I'm not interacting with them in the conversation, but you're constantly bringing me water. And then when it was time, when it was done, there was no one to clear the dishes. They cleared all the dishes. And I didn't look at them as like servants. I was like, man, these dudes are fucking badasses.
Yeah.
Like, they're taking the initiative to clean up they're making sure people are high. Like, they were adding value completely different. And all of a sudden it's like, well, yeah, I respect everyone at this table because maybe they're not doing the high end conversation and talking about giant deals, but like, oh no, they're doing the grunt work and no one's even asking them to, which is even rad,
Yeah.
right? And I think that when I enter rooms, that's the big thing is like, I look at the room and I'm like, how do I add value? You know, and it's not always about me. A lot of times how I add value is like, oh, this is Dana's room. So how can I speak for Dana and how can I look out for her and make connections and keep her aware? And I'll just become like, I'll fall into the background behind Dana, which like isn't a typical masculine male, but it's like, I don't know, masculine male supporting your wife as much as you can. I think it fucking
Yeah.
is. Right. And then there's other rooms where she falls behind me. There's other rooms where like, I'm like, I don't really know what it is. So I'll just test things. Like I'll be loud and I'll curse. Right. Or I'll start asking questions, but I'm not just operating. I'm trying to pay attention to what value can I bring to this room to make the room better.
Yeah.
And I think that a lot of people don't look at it like that. They look at like, well, how do I get attention in this room? It's like, no. If you can bring value to this room, it might be noticing that a trash can's overflowing and you're in a suit and all of a sudden you're packing up the trash can. Like people will notice that.
Yeah.
Like if you're in a suit and you don't say anything all day and then you see an overflowing trash can and you fucking bag it up and then go ask the wait staff, where do I put this? Everyone saw you do that and everyone knows like, oh wow, that's a super considerate dude who isn't scared to take out the trash in a suit. All of a sudden you've added massive value to the room, but everybody wants the shiny shit, right? They want the conversation where they can talk about how great they are and what car they drive and all that. And they miss those little things. And that's that awareness when you go into a room of like, you know, what is my angle here? And you don't need to fake who you are, but like actually pay attention and like soak. It's a beautiful thing that you can do.
I think that circles back to the original creativity as a superpower, even at a micro level. Like in the tattoo industry, everybody makes a laugh or has a huge problem with the apprenticeship process, which is generally just show up, provide value by doing these things that it may seem like grunt work, but it's some of the most valuable things that need to be done. So if you do it with passion, knowing that it's increasing your value, not only value in your importance in the room, but your value in the nuances to detail and to actually like understand your process, then you're increasing your worth to that room. Where now people are like, oh, I took the trash out once. What's next? And they're always like trying to like force their way up that next rung. But when you neglect all these other things that can teach you valuable skills, valuable personality traits, then those are going to be the things that bite you in the dick eventually. And I think everybody, whether it's trash or dishes or whatever the case, everybody goes through that stage somewhere in their growth. And when they're trying to like rush themselves to best superpower ever, inevitably they become the villain of their own fucking story because they just went about it to acquire the thing, not to become the person.
So one of the reasons that we blew up so fast in fitness is because how fast I got videos out, right? So now people understand that. But back in like 2010, we would go to the Arnold. I would film a video that night and then stay up all night to edit it and have it launched by the morning. So everyone else was like a week out on their video content and my shit would hit the next day. Yeah. So I always got all the views, right? Now, if you really think back, it's like, well, where did I learn that? I learned that as a dishwasher, right? a dishwasher working at a restaurant. Like the pace that I kept wasn't like, oh, I'm getting paid by the hour. It was like, I want to get this done as fast. Learning my standard of how fast I execute was created in a kitchen. And then after I dishwashed, I started to actually cook on the line. And dude, my speed and my agility and to manage all the products or all the different orders and everything and all the mise en place, it's like, looking back, that set my standard in business. And I think a lot of times people take for granted the position that they're in. And it's like, no. There's so many skills to learn here. If I would have told you that I became a multi-fucking millionaire 15 years ago because of my pace that I learned as a dishwasher, you'd be like, how did you learn that from a dishwasher? It's like, dude, it was late nights and it was like, how efficient can I get and how fast can I get this done so that my sink's always clear?
Yeah.
And I took the same thing in the video editing where I got videos out even faster. And it's like, which made everything explode. And dude, that's a huge reason why I became a millionaire at fucking 29, 13 years ago.
Yeah.
Like, because I was a dishwasher and I took it really, really serious. And so often people are like, oh, I'm in the military, you know, I have 2 more years left, blah, 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 like just going through the motions. But after I get out, I'm going to start a gym. Mm-hmm. It's like, dude, gym, inventory of products, SOPs, all that shit that you learn in the military of like, this is exactly how we do it. If you really, really learn those skill sets now, when you open up your gym and one day you want to franchise, that military background that you're taking for granted right now, that you're just going through the motions until you get out, they have it figured out. If you learn, this is how we clean a toilet. This is how often, this is how we hold people accountable, right? This is what our standard of making our bed looks like. It's the same as standard of leaving the gym at the end of the night or counting the till. And you take those skills that you're learning that you're looking at as trash skills right now, and then you open a gym that dialed like you're in the fucking military, dude, you're going to be able to franchise that like crazy.
Yeah.
But the problem is people don't look at the simple tasks that they're doing in the simple business that they're in right now and realize like, if I master these, this is going to add to my arsenal when I actually go out and start my own thing.
Yeah. Well, I think like there's a huge misconception of having to start from scratch as opposed to just making a pivot. If you take everything you're doing seriously right now, you can pivot it into a magnitude of other things. But if you're just patiently waiting for this to end so you can start all over, you're just making way more work for yourself on the back end. Or I guess
100%
at the foundation.
100%.
Well, fuck, man. I know you've got shit to do and we've been ripping for about an hour. So
we went over time. That's fine. Dude, I like it.
I
like talking to you, man. I like it's rare. It's rare that I find another creative that like their brain works like mine. You know, I felt like such a lone wolf for so long because the creatives out there, they get too deep in the creative world where we're like, everything's this weird creative thing. Yeah. Or if we're on the business side, it's like, it's all about margins and numbers and like forecasting. And it's like, yeah, but where's the magic?
Yeah.
And you're one of the people that when I talk to, it's like, you understand the magic and you understand the hard skills and they mesh together and we can have real conversation. So I appreciate the shit out of you.
Oh, dude. We're going to, maybe we'll do this again.